Hi lovelies, it's Emma with UK Scrap Addicts, and this month we are focusing on stitching, be that hand stitching, machine stitching, faux stitching and any other kind of stitching you can think of. And for this layout I'm using this cut file. Now this is a free cut file that is over on the UK Scrap Addicts blog. I will leave a link below, and it's actually a bit special, one that I designed, which is a bit different for me. But I wanted to use it on this page, but I didn't want to use it as a whole. So this is showing you that you can take something like the daffodil cut file and make it your own. So what I'm basically doing is cutting off the stems, and then I'm going to use the two flower heads as a stitching template. So I pulled that yellow paper in just so you'd be able to see the cut file, because obviously it's cut in white. And then I will actually use it later as well, but it was bought in for that purpose. So what I'm doing is I'm getting out my We Are Memory Keepers foam board, I suppose, and that's what I use to put under my paper when I'm piercing the holes. And I've pulled out my Tonic and Tim Holtz paper piercer, just to make it easier. I used to use, before I invested in a pokey tool, I used to use a calligraphy pen holder that I had hot glued a safety pin onto the top of, which used, I mean it worked, but it wasn't great. This is much better. And before I had the foam pad, I actually sort of folded cardboard up under my paper, which again, it worked, but learned from my mistakes. I accidentally put holes into my desktop, and I will need to get a new one soon. So I'm not going to make you sit through all my piercing, it's going to skip ahead. Here we go, and there we go. I've poked all my holes, so I've gone around the outline and the inside of that cut file. So I'm pulling out my stitching things, and then as if by magic, ta-da, it's done. This video is only like 10 minutes long, but the actual layout took me a couple of hours just to get that stitching done. I just used white thread and a simple back stitch, and I wanted to keep this page really simple. My mojo has been a bit all over the place at the moment because I'm just not finding a lot of time to sit down at my desk. So for this one, I just wanted to keep it simple. And I knew, obviously, daffodils are yellow, but I didn't want to colour the daffodil, but I wanted yellow to be on the page somehow. So what I've done is I've got this photo of my brother's dog. He's gorgeous, and actually he was here yesterday while I was making this layout, so I thought he'd gone a bit quiet, and came back into the living room to find him curled up on the sofa where he's not supposed to be. But he's cute, so he gets away with it. So yeah, what I'm doing is using that photo of him and having the daffodils come out from underneath it. I'm just using this yellow paper that I pulled in at the start because I felt like it couldn't all be white, and I wanted kind of a asymmetrical border around two parts of the page. And that paper is from Pink Fresh Studio Indigo Hills, and I got it in a kit a while back. So I'm just taping down some loose threads on the back with some washi tape. I didn't really tie them off properly, I just left them loose. And then I'm going to put tape down two sides of my paper so I can put it in asymmetric. So yeah, I prefer to use double-sided tape just because it's cheap. And yeah, I'm not fussy with my tape really, it sticks, so that's all it needs to do. So I kind of felt that putting this, I'm going to be good and cut the rest of this paper away. I usually use like the whole piece, but weirdly I quite like this yellow. Yellow is not usually my colour, but I do quite like it. So I'm just cutting that bit away so I can use it on something else. Not a particularly straight cut, but it'll do. And then I'm just going to trim this back down to 12 by 12. If any of you have recommendations for paper trimmers, by the way, I would love to hear them because I've had this viscose one for a couple of years. I got it when I first started scrapbooking because Again, it was kind of the most inexpensive one. I think it was about £14, but it doesn't really cut straight, so recommendations would be greatly received. So now I am just sticking down that corner just to make sure it's done all the way around, and then I will sort out what I'm doing with my photo. So I knew I wanted my photo in the middle with the daffodils, or the stitched daffodils, sort of peeking around the outside. So I'm just rubbing out some pencil marks that I'd made earlier. I made them just so I knew where I was going to stitch, and then it turns out that some of the holes that I poked I didn't actually need to stitch through because obviously my photo was going to cover it up, so I saved myself a little bit of time there. And then I had contemplated with the idea of backing my photo with another piece of pattern paper, or maybe another piece of the yellow, and I decided that actually no, I wanted to keep it quite simple and just have the pop of colour around the border. But what I did do is pulled out my Mr. Huey's spray, and I think that one's called Double Yoker, and I sort of used the straw on the inside to just tap and create some splatters, but as they first come out of the pure ink was just a little bit too dark, so I just used a paper towel and a dry baby cloth, I think I first picked up, just to dab off the excess ink, and then I got the right colour, or around about the right colour. And then I just wanted a little bit more of that white thread, because obviously that's what I'd used for the daffodil. So I'm just kind of gathering that up, and I'm just going to put that in the bottom corner, and that's going to sort of provide a place for the title, which is Ace, which is Doggie's name, and he is one spoilt pooch, definitely. He's adorable, and everyone loves him. He's actually my brother's dog, and he doesn't live with us, but everyone loves him, and he gets spoilt when he comes here. So I'm just going to stick that down. I'm just using double-sided tape, which is all it needs really. I did think about maybe I would need to reinforce those thickers and just put some glue behind them. I haven't done that yet. If they prove to be not sticking very well because of that thread, then I'll add some more glue behind. Now here I grabbed my fountain pen because I thought I was going to journal, and I might still journal on the layout, but I left it. But I just wanted to see how my ink was on my white cardstock, because I know on some paper that I've used that fountain pen on, the ink kind of spreads and goes really thick, and I didn't want that. So I was just testing it behind the photo, because obviously I knew it was going to be covered up. And then I've stuck my photo down. So then I was just looking for, I thought it needed just another little pop of yellow at the top of the photo. So I've got this We Are Memory Keepers ephemera pack, and in fact no, it's not, I think it's a Project Life ephemera pack, and they have these yellow boxes with days of the week in. Well, I didn't need the days of the week, but I liked the yellow, so the yellow went at the top of the photo, and then I've covered up part of the day of the week with a Tim Holtz tiny word sticker that just says remember to play, because in this photo Ace was playing with the tennis ball, which if you have a tennis ball, he will do anything for you, absolutely anything. So I'm going to call that done, I think. I just pulled out these enamel dots. These are from My Mind's Eye Hooray collection. It's quite an older one now. But I still had some yellow dots left over, so I've just kind of put 3 of those on. And I think I'm going to call that done. So I'm going to leave you with some close-ups. I really hope you enjoyed this layout. And it shows you that you don't have to use a cut file purely as cutting paper. You can use it as a template for drawing, for sketching, for stitching in this case. I hope you'll hop over to the blog. I'll leave the link below. There are some of the close-up photos on there as well, so you can just see them rather than them flashing by. And also check out the posts by the other design team members, because we've all given various forms of stitching a go, whether it's hand stitching or faux stitching or machine stitching. It's all on there, so lots of inspiration for you. So until next time, guys, bye!